Welcome in, podcasters, to episode 23 of the Preferred Experience podcast. Will Barrett, Millzer behind the camera over there, and we are joined today by the hottest name in Watauga County right now, the man everybody's dying to get to know more, Superintendent of Watauga County Schools, Lyman Woodfin. So, Lyman, thanks for taking some time with us today.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys giving us the opportunity. Looking forward to it.
Now, I've been knowing you for a long time, and I've always wondered, Lyman's a very unusual name. Okay, so where does Lyman come from?
Yeah, I was named after my grandfather. He taught ag and was a principal in the county, coached. But yeah, I was named after him. He spent over 30 years in the district. Umpired. A lot of people know.
I was about to say you better reference umpire.
Got to do the umpire, man. I think he made a lot of connections with that, and it's pretty cool, man. Up until it's every day. Every day I walk around and somebody will say, hey, I know they think it's my father sometimes. They'll say, hey, I know your dad. And I say, obviously Randy. He goes, well, yeah, I know him too, but your dad that taught ag. I'm like, well, my grandfather, and then they'll always have a story, always a story about my grandfather, Mr. Colette. Mm-hmm. And it's always good stuff. I've always had really good response from it. So definitely miss him. We were very tight.
Yeah.
But a lot of cool stories.
So you, I didn't realize that you had that kind of history in Watauga County Schools. So you go back generations of Watauga County School teachers and coaches and employees, and now here you are. The third generation?
Yes, sir. It's my uncle taught at Watauga again for a long time. His name was Kenny, and coached as well. And same deal. A lot of people I know at Watauga will always talk about Uncle Kenny. But very humble, very honored. Both those guys helped steer me, and obviously my father made sure I had the opportunity to do this. So very humbling experience. Very excited. Very excited to make this happen.
Well, now, you've worn just about every hat there is to wear in this school system. Tell me if I'm leaving one out here. I got baseball coach, football coach, teacher, assistant principal, and now the big hat.
Yeah, it's been my wife showed me a picture yesterday of Elizabeth out on the ball field with me when I was coaching baseball, and we have a picture there of all of our kids are, they're wearing jersey 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm out there coaching, but it just seems surreal that, number one, this is year 18. I know everybody says time flies, but man, it really does. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. Anytime transition occurs, it's difficult because you care about people where you're transitioning from. But this is home, and I'm looking forward to the challenge of pushing us a little further, try to get us where we got to go, and let our teachers know we support them and change the atmosphere a little bit for our students to make it more welcoming and just push us where we got to go.
Well, you still harken back to your first love of coaching. Even though you're superintendent of schools now, but you still mix it up on the ball field with the baseball coach. I have a good friend, Eric Lowenstein, that you coach with this year. And he just goes on and on about how much he loves Coach Woodfin. He's like, I was like, really? That guy's a hothead. He's like, no, the guy never says anything bad at anybody ever. Would you ever say that? I'm just kidding.
Eric's a great guy, man. He that was fun too, man. And when I got out of coaching, started obviously coaching my kids' teams a little more. And I'll say this, man, and I don't know if everybody will fully believe what I'm saying, but if you really want to get down to coaching fundamentals, go coach a youth league team. Because in high school, you develop your guys, you get them where you get over a hump in high school in the weight room. And that's where you really push. Youth league, man, it's you got to keep them corralled. You got to keep them, from running off the left field fence, but it's coaching at its purest form. And I really believe that if you do a spell in youth league and go back to high school or college or whatever, I think you'll be better off, man. Because it will redirect you on the fundamentals. And I had a blast, man. Eric helped me out a lot. I had a blast with it.
He just basically went over every plot of every coach that gets fired, college coach gets fired, has to go back and coach a youth team.
Every coach renaissance story.
Yeah, I just thought about that too. Sean Payton, I guess he did it. When he got let go with the Saints, he had a year where he had to go. But I'm serious. I've enjoyed it, man, and it helps you, no doubt.
No doubt at all. And so when you knew the superintendent job was coming open, and you're the principal at Marbury High School, and we talked off air like you love that job and they love you there, and you had made a real niche there, and you almost like people say, oh, well, he'll be here forever, and you could have been. What made you want to make that move from Marbury High School principal to the superintendent of Pawtucket County Schools? Why would you want to do that?
Well, first and foremost, you go, okay, we were able to push through a lot of good things at Marbury, and the community's changing because, people are moving out there and things are happening, and we were able to use the growth to, change the curriculum, change sports, change a lot of things. But you're sitting there and you're going, can you do this on a larger scale? Kids at every community deserve that opportunity. Being here, being a lifelong resident, seeing how, quite frankly, our staff members and administrators and support staff, we do so much with so little, and there's only so long you can do that till things start to slip. And I just wanted to go into the role and go, okay, how do we take what we did on a small scale and make that across a bigger scale? All kids should have the same opportunity. Now, obviously things are going to look a little different with each community because each community is a little different, but the desire to push us over the top should not be one area over the other. It should be coming from this seat, trying to give all kids the opportunity to do as well as they can. And that's it in a nutshell, man. This is home. A lot of people, y'all know, I mean, there's some negativity out there that I don't necessarily agree with. I think social media has changed somehow, how news is out there and the perception of news and all that. We do have a great system. I said in my interview, we're pretty much right where we have been for the last 5-10 years in terms of our academic report card. But I think the negativity is locals see that there's only so much longer we can keep pushing the can down the road.
Yeah.
And from this chair, I can dive into the finances a little more. I can dive into staff roles. I can dive into things that drive the policy and decisions that do impact our teachers and our students more. So just trying to take the approach I had at Marbury, which was, again, and I'm not going to harp on it too much, but, when I was AD at Prattville, we were told, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that. I feel like we were able to change some stuff in the couple of years we were there. Point blank, there was a lot of things that we pushed through at Marbury that, people told me all the time, just give it up, it ain't going to happen. Well, in this chair, now I'm the one that's got to take that mentality and push it out across the district. That again, it's not okay to be okay. Let's whatever it takes. We may not be able to get there through this path, but let's quit being so quick to shut the door. If we're trying to drive to Clanton and we got to go through Alex City to get there, so be it. I mean, if that's where we got to go to get there, let's just take a path.
I love what you just said. It's not okay to be okay. And we've had you also mentioned the moniker, we do more with less than anybody. I mean, I've seen the junior high even make shirts that say, overachievers, and we do more with less than anybody else. And that's a badge of courage, a badge of honor for administrators and teachers, but it should be a badge of shame for the community. Like, we don't. They do more with less because we don't give them anything.
Well, but on the flip side,
than what we're mandated to.
That's right. And on the flip side, I think that is what kind of gets under my skin a little bit is social media. It's so easy for one bad thing to grow into to a life of its own, and it blows up into. And look, let's be real. And again, I know y'all are news, and I've known y'all forever, love y'all to death. What sells?
Drama.
Okay, so.
Sensationalism.
Yes.
But that's why we're broke, because we don't go down that road.
But that's good. And don't go down that road, because that's why everybody's starting to watch y'all's thing, because it's not, it's not the normal stuff. But I say all that to say, I think the biggest thing I've heard from our teachers and administrators since I came aboard is, hey, let's highlight some of the good as well, and take that approach. Make a big deal about all the good things. And guys, there's so much more good than there is bad. Now, that being said, I have to make sure, the first thing I have to do is make sure that every dollar that we have is allocated to the fullest potential. That's where I have to start, because we are the least funded system in the state. And that causes issues. I mean, again, as an AD at Prattville, as a principal at Marbury, man, funds are so tight. I don't think people understand a lot of your teachers on campus. They're doing SGA, they're doing theater, they're doing all these things that you expect them to do, but in all these other districts, there's supplements, there's ways to take care of them.
That's correct.
Our teachers are awesome because they have done those things, those activities, for many, many years, and they're still here. I've got to do a better job of figuring out how to allocate funds to take care of our staff so that we keep our staff. Now, obviously, that's a little easier when you're not dealing with this size of a pie. If it was a little more money. But before we go to the public with that issue, I've got to be able to present to the public, guys, here is the reality. Here's why we're doing this. Here's what we've done in the past. And that's what we're doing. Obviously, I've only been on the job officially, I guess, 3 days now. But I can assure you, our staff, we are turning over every rock. We're evaluating every program. Are we really using this program? If not, it's got to go. And the sum of all that, we're evaluating. I'm evaluating every position. Are we really getting the bang for the buck with the position? Because again, when you're at 10 mills, you better make sure that you can look the public in the eye and say, we are doing everything we possibly can. Year one for me, obviously, guys, there's not a whole lot you can change in terms of policy or structure at all, because, the policy was approved, say no, I was hired. But there's going to be a lot of observing, and I've been telling the staff, don't take this the wrong way. I'm going to ask why a lot. Why are we doing it that way? It's not putting you on the spot. I've got to wrap my mind around what you're doing. But again, the reason I apply for this job is, if that answer of why we're doing it does not match the vision that we feel like we should push in this county, then we got to change the why.
Yeah, and you talk about the teacher morale, and I think when you actually go and approach a program and ask the whys and ask the tough questions, that is going to improve morale, because a lot of these teachers feel disenfranchised and just disconnected because nobody's ever asked them.
Well, I'm under no illusion. I know there's going to be days that, quite frankly, I can't leave this office a whole lot. But I'm telling you, I'm going to be out. And I'm an open book. You guys know that. I've always answered your questions as honestly as I can. I think that's one reason why there was so much support for me locally, and again, I'm very humbled by that. I'm not going to run from a tough conversation. I want our staff members saying, hey, this is my frustration, so that we can work on it. We owe them that. We owe our students that. Why would you not?
Yeah, and one of the things I think that has hurt the Talbot County schools in the past, maybe over the last 15 to 20 years, has been lack of partnership with the city of Prattville. They just haven't been able to play well together. How are you going to make that bridge work?
Obviously, I've had experience in it. I would hope people would tell you as well. Let me dispel a myth. When I went to Prattville, I didn't go there to be the AD. It just kind of
it seems like that's the case for everybody. They don't go there to be the AD, but somehow it lands in their lap.
But just like this job, if I get a job, I'm going to attack it. And during that time, I feel like we were able to repair some of that stuff. I got a very good relationship with the city council and the mayor and Parks and Recreation. And, through those conversations and through lifelong relationships, I think the rub is this, okay? And I ain't saying Prattville in particular. I'm saying in general. I think we all as human beings lose sight of this person's job is to protect this entity. You guys, your job is to make the best podcast you can make. So you may ask me some hard questions in a minute, and I can get mad about it, or I can understand that that's your job. Local governmental groups, whether it's the city council or the mayor or the commissioners or the superintendent, their job is to better their districts.
Yeah.
We can't lose sight of that. Like, it's not personal. I may not agree with everything that they're doing, but I have to keep in mind that their job is to represent their district. Now, the way we move forward is we have to be able to willing to meet in the middle on some stuff. I may not get everything I want, and you may not get everything you want, but if we don't lose sight of the fact that if we give this and you give this, then the vast majority of people are going to benefit. That's how you move forward. It's just a recognition of, man, I ain't mad at you. You got to do what's best for your community.
Yeah.
The best example of that is what's going on in Millbrook right now with the 17 Springs project. It is cooperation between the city of Millbrook, the county commission, the Board of Education, the YMCA, their Chamber of Commerce. They're all working together, and they're about to pull off a massive project that is going to be pretty dang impressive.
Well, it definitely will change the scope of their community.
Yes.
And we have to do the same kind of stuff. Having been in some of those meetings, I can tell you that publicly, those guys all align when they have to.
Yes.
I'll give them that. Mr. Dennis has done a tremendous job as superintendent of Elmore County. I've got to do the same job here. We've got to get our county to that point, and he's been able to form relationships. They're all on the same page, and that whole community has gotten better because they compromise and work together. And I have no doubt, look, I need to say this, I have no doubt that we're going to be able to do the same thing.
Oh, no, I don't either. I fully believe it's coming.
And we've got an example of the small things that are starting to happen with the stadium project. It's a cooperation effort that, and this is how I've tried to explain it to people. They're like, why is the city doing what? Well, look, if we didn't have the city doing this project, the county school board of education would have to figure out a way to come up with $15-20 million to build a football stadium for Prattville to play, because you got to have somewhere for them to play.
Exactly.
And this way, it's a partnership with the city taking the brunt of the financing for it to help the county have a place for soccer and football and all the activities we got.
And if we could just keep the cave people on face bag to realize that this is not a county school project. This is a city project. And the city doesn't control the school system, never have, never will. It's a county school system. It's a city infrastructure project. Get it in your head. And thank God for Robert Stritchik in District 6, who has a copy and paste. I guarantee he's got copy and paste where it just says city facility, county schools. And he has to put it down like 46 times a day on Facebook because people just won't get it.
I haven't put it out yet, but I've made a meme that explains it pretty easily for everybody. I'll show it to you. I'll show it to y'all when we get done. I created a little meme that pretty much sums the whole thing up and makes it as simple as it possibly can be.
Well, I mean, before I came on board, obviously there was agreement with the Board of Education, City of Prattville, and the board helped out with some of that. And and again, that goes back to give Mr. Ted Moore and Dr. Boyd credit on that. They all worked through that process, and that's a prime example there. I mean, I know people may expect more money, less money from all the different entities, the board being one of them, but that's a prime example there of past superintendents working hand in hand with city officials, and hey, we may not get exactly what we want, but who benefits in the end?
Yes.
The students, the community at the end.
And
Look, those conversations aren't easy, man.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because again, but I think it all goes back to this. You have to view it from the eyes of the person that's a little upset. And I'll tell you the biggest place you learn that. You learn that in a principal's chair. You know, you said, we were joking earlier, you said a little hot-headed sometimes. I'm telling you, that's what changed a lot of my viewpoints, is whether I agree or disagree with somebody that's upset, 9 times out of 10, they're upset in our world, not the world you were just talking about, in our world, because their child's upset. Now, we may not agree on the outcome, but as long as I can keep my perspective of understanding that you feel like that because you think that your child's being impacted. So even that stadium stuff you're talking about, you know, I've seen both sides of the argument. But again, let's not lose sight of the fact of City of Powell, Board of Education, again, entities on both sides may not have got exactly what they wanted, but there's a happy medium there, compromise occurred, and then who's going to benefit? All students from Ottawa County will have the ability to use that, but primarily the lines, you know, our line group. And again, let's be real, if you went to the stadium, I played there, I mean, it wasn't any different last year than it was in 2000 when I graduated.
Right.
You know, I mean,
right, and it's falling apart in 2000.
That's right. But again, let's not lose sight of the fact of the positive, which is, you know, you asked about the working relationship. Well, that's my job, is to further that relationship between all those entities and keep making improvements like that.
And you can tell that relationship is starting to come together a little better. They showed up at the Board of Education meeting a couple weeks ago with a nice little check.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's a nice boost. It doesn't put a dent in the overall problem in this system, but it does allow for a little breathing room.
Yes. And again, we're very thankful for that decision. And now the eyes are on me and the board. How well do we use that money? And that's the job. I've got to be able to turn that, I hate to say donation, but I mean, you know what I mean? I have to turn that set of funds into here's how we've used it, so that, you know, if there was ever discussions moving forward, hey, you did partner with us and this is what we did with those funds. That's transparency. You know, that's how you get over the hump, is when I come to those government entities, whether it's the county commission or the city of Prattville or the town of Billingsley. You know, if I go to the mayors out there and go, hey, we have a need in these communities and this is how we used the funds when the city of Prattville gave it to us. That's how you get everybody under that same umbrella. That's how you get everybody pulling the same direction. And again, you're not going to ever be able to hit every need with all across the district. But if you're showing them on a day in and day out basis, this is what we did with what you gave us, that's how you start building that bridge. And that's, I can assure you, that's Ms. Poe and her financial department are doing a tremendous job on looking at everything. My directors, again, we're looking at every program we're using. And when we go public with this stuff, or when I present this stuff to the board, I hope that people see it. It is going to be a directional shift in terms of transparency. We owe it to our constituents and our citizens to be able to show where every dollar is going.
And to that, hiring Rebecca Thomas as a media.
Oh wow!
Media person is big. I've been working with her. You know, I've been doing this kind of voluntarily for years. I've been, you know, anything I could do to help. Well, now we've got a person in place that's the job is to get the information out, and she did a wonderful job at PCA. So I just have to give her a shout out. She's going to be a huge asset to this whole program.
She does a great job.
The positive communication that's come through social media, that's come through internet about Ottawa County Schools since she's taken over. I mean, it's been tenfold. I mean, you really start the highlight stories, information's getting out to parents better. I mean, you're right. It was a knockout. It was a home run hire.
Yeah. Well, I haven't been here but just a few days, and she's really helped me a lot. And you know, she definitely is on top of her area and doing a great job. So.
Yeah, when I told her we were doing this, she goes, "You didn't clear this through the media team," in a joking manner. So, I was like, "You mean me and
only
you?"
partially joking.
Only me and you, right? That's right.
That's funny.
So, athletics, academics, they go hand in hand.
Yes, sir.
And you've been on both sides of the spectrum. You've been a teacher, you've been a principal, you've been a coach, you've been an AD. And it seems to me like as the athletics programs continues to rise in schools, as they're successful, there's fewer discipline problems. There's better grades. There's just overall better awareness of self and controlling yourself in the school system with the students and the coaches and everything. It just makes everything better. What's your take on the future of our athletics programs in this county, and as it relates to raising academics?
Yeah, I mean, look, I used to preach on it up there at Marbury, and I do believe this fundamentally. You know, at Marbury, we had over 60% of our kids did something after school.
Mm-hmm.
You really want to improve academics, you get kids involved in something after school. And then more importantly, you got to have a partnership with your coaches and sponsors with the principal, and they all have to share the same belief that academics are important. That child may not be coming to school for anything other than to play football. Now, that's not the most popular thing to say, but it is the fact.
It's true.
You know, you may have a kid that is all in on theater, and that may be the only reason they really care about going to school. And that theater position may open up a position in college because they're so good at it, and it changes that kid's life.
It's their ticket out.
You have to increase, rigor and push kids in the classroom. That's 100%. I'm all in on that too. And we're going to do some things. Our curriculum department's doing a great job on realigning some stuff now. But to gloss over the fact that your kids have to have suitable and extraordinary access to after-school activities, that is such a huge component of improving your schools. You hit on discipline. Look, if your athletic teams are doing well, they want to play on Friday night, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And if your coaches hold them to the standard with discipline, I've always told my coaches this. I've never seen a good coach who was a terrible teacher.
Mm-hmm.
It goes hand in hand. Buddy of mine, Kevin Palmer, y'all know him at Marbury. He used to do a PD session with our teachers called Teach Like a Coach. And he would get on our coaches too. Hey, you're able to move this kid who, struggles academically, but he can do anything that you want him to do on the field, and you're speaking a foreign language. A football play call offensively sounds like a foreign language.
Yeah.
But that kid can understand that, then he should be able to understand, sit down, do your work, be respectful, be a model citizen.
Mm-hmm.
It all goes in together. If you want to improve your schools, your coaches have to have the resources they need to win, okay? The coaches have to hold the kids accountable inside and outside the classroom. Your athletes have to be visible in the community because they've got to understand that there's another world out there. They gotta see that. And then on top of all that, the principal has to be in line with the coaches, and they all got to share the same vision, which is, I'm going to do everything I can to give you what you need to win, but you're going to do everything you can to push these kids academically and make them the best men and women that you can.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. That's, are some schools levelized on, is it easier at some schools to win based on athletes than others? Yes, we all know that, okay? But explain to me why some schools that don't have great athletes are continually second, third, fourth round. Because there's a culture there where the coach is going to work hand in hand with administration, and they're going to push those kids inside and outside that classroom.
And they have the resources required to do just that.
It's a big part. There's no doubt.
And our programs, I love our athletic programs here. And these coaches and these students, they don't know it, but they fight with one hand tied behind their back. And these 7A against these 7A monster programs like Auburn and Central Phoenix City and Enterprise, their resources are 3, 4, and 5 times what we have to give, and our kids are right there in the fight with them almost every Friday night.
Yes.
If not coming on top. We're 5 times behind Auburn. We're 4.5 times behind Central in funding. But on the field, it's a matter of 6 to 8 points, usually.
Right.
And that is so hard for people to register with them. Like, if you want to get over that hump, you have to provide these kids, these coaches, with what they need to do. And like you posted the other day, Millzer, like about high school athletics.
Yeah, I got it pulled up here.
It is the front porch of your community, right?
Yeah.
I mean, talk about that.
Yeah, well, here, I'll pass this off to you so you just kind of read the points on it and everything. I got it pulled up on my phone right here. But it's something I found. It's Craig Doty, the two-time national championship coach at Emporium State in basketball.
Yep.
He posted this on Twitter, and it was just, it blew me away. It really did.
For the It's Just High School Sports crowd, here are some points to ponder. Sports teams are the front porch and brand of the school. Athletics serve as the largest and most successful at-risk program. Playing sports provides discipline, purpose, motivation, and structure for those who may not get it at home. The local community connects with the school district through sports. Athletes are discussed and celebrated in the local newspaper, when we had a local newspaper. On the radio and on the news, games provide entertainment and something to do for everyone, from children to those who are retired. You remember when Prattville was really rolling in the early 2000s. There would be 6,000 to 10,000 people at Stanley Jensen on Friday. You couldn't get in. If you got there at 7, you're just not getting in, because the whole dang community is there, and it was like nothing I'd ever seen. And now we're struggling to fill the home side. Even though there's 300 band members up in there. And it's just, I mean, we had spillover into those concrete bleachers that are about to go away. Praise the Lord. Thank you, City of Prattville. But now it's just the only time you see that place filled up is if Stanhope's in town, or if the other team is an Auburn or an Enterprise. It's going to bring a huge crowd with them. You know, the student experience for non-athletes is enhanced because of sports. That's something people fail to realize. The student body comes together to cheer their team, which creates school unity. The band, cheerleaders, dance team, choir, and others have increased opportunities to showcase their talents on game days. They create tradition and enhance opportunities for alumni to come back for homecoming games. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on, and it all comes back to athletics and how. And if you don't have that, your academics suffer. And like you said, 60% of everybody at Marbury is doing something after school, but there's more opportunity than ever for kids to plug in and do something. The problem is finding a teacher that's not expended to the hilt above and beyond what he or she should be doing or could be doing to take over that program, like an esports program. There are gamers out there. There are gamers everywhere now. And some kids, they're just, video games is their thing. And now there's an esports program where they can compete at that level. Like Bob Jones High School in Madison County is the four-time defending esports state champion in 7A. Who knew?
Right.
Who knew? There's a big contingent of kids that want to do esports at Prattville High. But guess what? We can't find anybody to coach it because everybody's just expended.
Yes, and those are major issues across the board. You want to keep expanding, but all right, you take a teaching staff. On average, about half of them are going to coach in some capacity. As you move up in classification, you know, obviously you can offer more things. Just figure half. Well, then you also have, if you have a healthy school climate, you also have art club, robotics club, SGA, Spanish club. You just start running the gamut.
Broadcast media class.
Yep. Shameless plug.
You have all these others. Well, that just ate up probably the other half of your faculty. And that's, teachers work a whole lot more than what the public realizes they do. If they're not a coach, they're usually doing something after school that they enjoy. I mean, maybe it's FCA, you know, but something after school. So yeah, you know, trying to work that program to reward the teachers for doing extra, and also give them what they need in the classroom, and then also give your coaches what they need. Again, you asked why. I wanted to get in this position to be able to look at every dollar that was being spent, every decision that's being made, and then come back to, And I'm telling you, this is my thing, and you can ask my staff. First meeting we had, does it make us more efficient? When you bring me something, does it make us more efficient? Does it make our teachers' jobs better? If it adds something to them, we're not doing it. Because, again, they're doing all these things we're talking about. We have to do a better job of evaluating everything that we're doing, and again, we have to do a better job of being efficient because we just don't have the resources to be non-efficient.
Well, just real quick, you're talking about the expansion and everything and what teachers have to do. This year, a lot of people don't know about this. I've been trying to put it out there on social media and get some interest to generate and everything. Prattville now has a girls flag football team.
Yes.
Don't snicker. They have a legitimate state championship every year, and
they get after it.
And I broadcast it with the state up at the Super 7 every year. They play at the Super 7. They play their championship game in whatever stadium the Super 7's playing in. So last year, the Jordan-Hare Stadium. I can't believe I forgot the teams, but there were girls teams and they're playing.
Auburn High School next.
Yeah, Auburn. That's right.
Of course.
And they're playing for a state championship in flag football, and this is some serious stuff, man. Don't think it's the powder puff game or anything.
They're hustling.
This is they.
Look, I'm telling you. Look, I didn't mean to jump in and cut you off. Let me tell you something. Of all the administrator things we do, the one thing that would give me the most heartburn when we were scheduled, because I loved it. It was always awesome. Homecoming week. What do you play?
Powder puff.
Powder puff. Flag football.
Yeah.
Man. They play so wide open. They're hitting each other harder than what you're doing Friday night. You're like, guys or ladies,
you're not wearing it.
Just get the flag. They get after it, man.
Yeah, and it's like a 20-game schedule they play before they even get to the playoffs or anything. Yeah. I mean, they're playing a couple of times a week and everything.
It's exciting.
What I was getting to as far as this wouldn't even be possible at Prattville High School if it wasn't for head softball coach Brian Pittman putting it together, along with head girls basketball or boys basketball coach Jason Fisher, also putting it together. He also coaching it. I mean, if those two don't step up and do this, it doesn't get done. And it's and there's 30 girls on the team.
Exactly. I was about to say, what kind of response are they getting?
They had a blowout for tryouts. I mean, it was, and along that lines too. If we're being on this subject. You're talking about the girls getting after it and everything. They've been, now that girls compete more in the wrestling. I've had a couple. I won't name the name of the wrestling coach, but I have a coach of them say, I'd rather coach the girls. They focus and they actually do what you tell them to do.
Oh yeah. They get after it, man. They get after it.
Well, we've got a lot on the horizon here at Watauga County Schools, and it starts right here in the central nervous system, right here in the superintendent's office, and looking across the room at that chair that you'll be sitting in for the next 20, 50, 60 years, hopefully.
Hopefully, and as long as they'll let me.
What would you say are the key priorities for you coming up?
Well, year one is observing what we're doing, trying to be more efficient, try to improve morale. At the same time, evaluating everything we're doing financially, because again, we're obviously we've said it 4 or 5 times now in this discussion. Finances are an issue right now. There's no two ways around that, and I've got to be able to communicate with the public and know that everything we're doing is we're using every dollar as possible as well as we can. Sorry, I'm getting a little tongue-tied on that because it's that big of a deal. I'm trying to make sure that we are using everything as well as we possibly can.
Yeah.
That is the first priority. Now, once we get a year under our belt to analyze every dollar, how's it being spent, well, that's when you get into, can we continue on this path? And that's what starts driving decisions from there. Guys, I'm not going to lie to you, it's tight. And the public needs to understand that we are very, very tight with our budget. And, I'll take the flag football thing there, okay? We were trying to start it out there at Marby too. I didn't have enough guys left that didn't do 2 or 3 sports to be able to do it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, that was my point.
And
And there's enough girls out there that they would be
Let me
all
tell you,
over
man.
it.
All right. So my wife, if she watches this, well, she will. She watches everything. Is going to chuckle because my daughter goes out there, and all her buddies wanted the flag football team, and I have gotten lit up for the last 2 months. Why can't we have a flag football team? I don't have anybody to coach it. We would have 30 girls play it too. I'm telling you, they were all at my office banging on the door, are we going to have a team? That's real world what you do in Ottawa County.
Yeah.
I've got to do a good job of being able to look the public in the eye and say, here's our current financial situation, and this is our plan moving forward. That's what year one's going to be. I feel very good that we're going to do that. Quite frankly, I know we talked a little bit earlier. We're probably a little ahead on that discussion already. And again,
after 3 days,
Miss Poe has done a phenomenal job. Her department coming in and working hand in hand with them. They've done a great job, and we're uncovering programs that the county's been paying for that I don't know if we're getting what we need out of them. So before I go to the public and ask for anything else, I've got to eliminate those and allocate those funds somewhere else to get more bang for the buck. But again, it's year one, observe, ask why, figure out what we're doing. Year two will be some changes.
And I think you're able to do that. You'll be able to do that well because you're coming from a place of understanding.
Yes.
You've worn all the hats. You've been in a whole bunch of these schools already. You know what they're up against. You know what they're fighting against, and you've got the Ottawa County pedigree to have like almost instant trust.
Right.
And nothing against the previous applicants to this position. They weren't going to come in with that.
Well,
it'll take a year just to build trust.
I can assure you this, that there is a certain amount of pressure that is going to be on me because just like I've known you guys forever, I feel like I know a lot of people in the community, and the pressure is going to be knowing I'm looking at a friend or a colleague or somebody that I'm not friends with. That's fine. Looking at them and being able to tell them for sure we are doing everything we possibly can. Guys, I've heard some of the same stuff. There's a feeling that the system's not in great shape. And guys, financially, we got a lot of work to do. And I'm going to say it as politely as I can with that. Mm-hmm. But failure is not an option. This is home. I will not be going around town looking at students and parents and the pressure I'm going to put on myself and the pressure that we feel down here to make sure that we're not going to be the administration that lets this thing fall apart. That's, when I coached, we had a pretty good run there. And once you get successful, well, now the fear of coming off of that should drive you to do what you got to do. And I used to always tell my guys, don't be the senior class that lets this thing fall back.
Yeah.
Where we're at right now in our county, we have to work together with all of our governmental agencies to get the resources that we need to get more successful. And we will get there. I have no doubt in my mind. We will. I promise you, I am going to push that boulder up Everest if it's the last thing I do. And once we get there, well, then the challenge is going to be how do you stay there? But I make no mistake about it. It is not an option. Mm-mm. We will get to where we got to be, or it'll be the death of me. We are going to push this thing to where we got to go.
Well, it's exciting to hear that kind of energy coming out of this office because it's something that's this desperately needed. Because I guess it all trickles down. If the energy's not coming out of here, it's not coming from anywhere. It's got to be generated here first, and then it filters out into the community. And I see that. in our newest hire superintendent, Mr. Coach Director Dr. Woodfin. Which do you prefer?
Not a doctor, man. Hey,
AD Coach, Mr. the teacher.
Hey, look, man, y'all know me well enough. I don't care about a title, man. I've been called a lot of things worse than any title, but here's what I care about.
Not to your face.
I really don't. It don't bother me, but what I care about is earning trust with our community that they know we're doing everything we possibly can.
Yeah.
Now, once we get to the point where I can show and we're not far from it, the current reality, I would hope my relationships across the district and people, this was a negative. I've heard this. Well, you're a little too upfront. Okay. Well, I want people to be upfront with me. Mm-hmm. Like, tell me what the problem is. If the problem's me, come in and let's have a talk. Let's figure it out. I would much rather have somebody be upfront and hit the problem and let's try to fix the problem than to put on rose-colored glasses and feel like everything's okay. Or, which is even worse than rose-colored glasses, have a sense of indifference that they'll be all right. I'm just riding it out. Again, being okay is not okay, man. Like, we have got to give these kids what they need. We've got to give our teachers and coaches what they need. And that's not lip service. I hope people know, in my relationships across the district, I hope people know that when we come to you with the current reality, it's been vetted, it's been researched, there's no rock that we left uncovered, and when we go, hey, here's our options, I hope the communities in all 4 communities and my relationships there, the trust we have across this county, I hope people will go, you know what, he's not trying to push something over on us. Because when I come to the conclusion of where the data brings us, the job of this seat is to give the people the data and seek input across this district on how to move us forward.
I love to hear you say that, because Millzer, what has been the 2 phrases that has plagued this county for 30 years now? There's 2 phrases that will just drive me bonkers when I hear it. 1 is good enough, and 2, what's the other one? It is what it is. It is what it is.
We have this running joke between us that the preferred community is no longer the moniker. It is what it is like our town motto, and it's been like that for a while now, and we've got to make that turnaround. And
listen, we call this podcast the preferred experience for a reason, because the preferred experience is the experience of living in the preferred community, and I still believe this place is a preferred community. I wouldn't live anywhere else. Yeah. I love living here. This is a great place to live. This is a great place to raise kids, and
that's what frustrates us so much, is we know that we're just right on the cusp of this being the class of the entire state.
Right.
We've got all the tools right here. We just got to make that step.
What's Saban's quote? I read it the other day. Average people. Oh man, I used it in one of my faculty meetings. Man, I'm drawing a blank. Average people don't like expectations. Oh man,
I bet we can find it here.
That right there. I used that in our faculty meeting. I'm trying to remember what it was. Before school year last year, we talked a lot about that. And golly, I wish I could find that quote, because there is nothing better that sums up where we're at.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to be, sorry, I'm going to talk like coach. If you want to be the top dog, that don't happen on Friday night. That happens in a lot of other areas.
Well, mediocre people don't like high achievers.
That's it. Mediocre people don't like high achievers. Read that for me real quick. And high achievers don't like mediocre people. Yep. I mean, the standard is the standard. And I guess that's what I'm saying is the current reality for me with our district, our standard is set here because I genuinely believe our teachers and coaches and staff members are maxing out what they can do with what they have. We have to raise our standard.
The example I love to give to everybody right now, and this is not just from an athletic standpoint, we're talking academics here. Look at what has happened in Alabaster at Thompson High School in just a decade.
10 years.
10 years they made the commitment. Of course, it was they shifted to a city school system, but what they did is they committed
resources.
Committed resources to their school, and within less than a decade, they're the class of the entire state, and just boom, like that.
And so, in a lot of cases, class of the Southeast.
Yeah.
I mean, in most sports, in most academic levels, in most clubs. I mean, it's the walking dog.
And what does Alabaster have that we don't?
I've been to Alabaster, and no slap to Alabaster.
No slap to Alabaster.
This place is better.
It's a comparable community, very comparable, and that's, we and this we talk from aspect of Prattle. It's just the biggest
It's
the biggest piece of the puzzle.
Right.
But don't think that wouldn't benefit the entire county across the board once you make that commitment across the board.
Oh, sure. Economic development would skyrocket when the schools come together and take the next step up.
Well, I think part of it too, guys, is this. If you're going to really talk about raising your standard, you have to look at out of the box thinking. Okay. Y'all heard me say it in my interview, and I'm going to say it now because it is a fundamental belief for me. Y'all know, and I'm not going to get too much into tax stuff, but y'all know I was on the committee before, and that question came up in the interview, and we all know we need some more funding. Okay. I'm going to leave it at that, but
Clear.
Why are we stuck with our mentality? All right, let me back up. I'm going to say it like this. I'm trying to say this softly, but I fundamentally believe parents in our district should be able to, within policy, send their kids where they want them to go. Okay? You look at some districts around us, they looked at the HSA rule and they adapted. Okay? My belief on that does not come just from the HSA. It comes from, I fundamentally believe that as a parent in a public school setting, you should have the option of sending your kid where you want them to. It's coming from the governor. And if you do that, you talk about economic development, well, you just open up all kinds of areas in the city, outside the city. We have to look at things a little differently to get where we want to be. If we keep saying we want to be here, okay, guys, we're not going to be funded at the Thompson City level. But what can we do in Autauga County that gets more buy-in from Autauga County? That's one of those things. You know, let's not be afraid of change. And here's one of my downfalls. I'll tell you right now. My staff will tell you that I've worked with. I'm sorry. I'm not afraid to try something. I mean, if it blows up, it blows up. But at least you can look at somebody and go,
We tried.
We tried. Like, let's think of different things that we can do that pushes the district over the edge, over to where we want to be. Let's set a new standard. It all goes back to this chair has to direct policy that benefits everyone, but that pushes us above to where we want to be. That's this chair.
There's no doubt about it. And in that, with our lack of funding in this county, it'd be different if this was an impoverished county. Well, it is not an impoverished county. This is one of the top 10 median household incomes in all the state, amongst 67 counties.
But you bring up a point there too. You say top 10. We were top 3 less than 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
But what changes?
What aspect of this county has not improved? School system. And if you don't think it don't make a direct impact,
When you
look at
see-
the numbers.
When big time CEOs or company scouts come looking for places, they want to locate businesses like the Hardy plant in the industrial park, or want to build a white collar industry here in the city. Most of these guys have kids that are school age, and they go, well, where's my kids going to go to school? Let's go see. And they drive by intermediate, they drive by elementary, and they drive by primary, and they go, let's go look at this next county over, or let's go look 2 counties up, and they go, well, that's different. They offer the same kind of package, but look at this school system. Let's go there. And
look, we do not, and I guess, and I don't know, I shouldn't have to clarify this. I think everybody knows. We're not knocking the people of our system.
absolutely not.
Because they should be getting awards left and right to battling the battles they have with what they have.
Well,
But but if we give them what they need, what they would need, what we could accomplish out of it.
Well, what we have to do, and again, what we have to do is listen from the lessons we should have learned the last time we tried to increase ad valorem. Listen to what the people were telling us. You know, that is, I think that's why I'm here, is to be able to articulate back to our communities what the reality is, and to be able to listen to them and implement the changes we got to make with policy to get everybody on board.
And you know, just to touch on this a little bit, because this seems to be the thing I get from people, just talking to people about their biggest bugaboo, hang up about the school system, everything, is this discipline issue and the safety issue of it. Well, that goes hand in hand of what you can put into the school to protect the students in there and to make a good learning environment. I mean, I'm not saying we're anything like, any of these movies you see where everything's going, graffiti on the wall and everything, and it's nowhere near that. No. But it's proven time and again, you give the kids a good environment, a good, safe environment, they will produce.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing new under the sun. No. The rules hadn't changed. Yeah. And I'm proud as heck that you're stepping into this role for this county. I think it's something that's long overdue. We needed somebody like Lyman Woodfin in this seat, and now we have the man. So I'm excited for what's coming next.
Man, I appreciate you guys and appreciate what you do. And outside of the podcast, you guys are all over the place, man. Y'all have always been fixtures in Autauga County, and I appreciate your guys' commitment to our students and the love for the county and love for the students. I mean, it's obvious.
Unfortunately, my passion bubble is kind of near the surface on a lot of these topics, and it blows up sometimes.
Passion's not a bad thing.
But as long as you can control it a little bit better than what I can, right? So, well, Lyman, I know that you've been waiting for this moment where we unleash the next episode of Poetic Justice on the world, featuring Chip Powell, right?
I've heard a lot about it. I want to hear it.
Is this partner back with him this week?
No, he was by himself, but he had to come in and do it on the fly because he just, and this will touch on his subject. He was up in Jackson Hole with two of his boys for the weekend.
Oh, okay.
On a trip up there. So
up in the Tetons.
And so he is inspired.
Well, let's roll it. Let's roll Poetic Justice, episode 23.
Welcome in again to Poetic Justice. I'm your host, Chip Powell. I'm by myself today, and I wanted to be by myself. Mills, my co-host, is still out and about working on his poetry, and I think he's very involved in the Elmore County Poetry Club. I think he was a special guest last week to their club, and I had the opportunity to take a trip with my boys, and man, I had such an experience. If you've never been to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, you need to make that part of your bucket list and go there because it's just fantastic. And I had the chance to go fly fishing, go to Yellowstone, go see a rodeo in Jackson Hole. We also rode the tram up to the top of a mountain about 10,500 feet, and man, it was just beautiful. And on my way home, I had the opportunity on the plane to think and just kind of reflect on the trip, and came up with a poem just right off the top of my head, and I think you'll like it. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and recite it to you. In Jackson Hole, where nature's whispers flow, I embarked on a journey, a tale to sow. Amidst the beauty of the Snake River's embrace, I set my sights on a fly fishing chase. With rod in hand, I stood by the water's edge, casting my hopes upon the river's pledge. The current danced a melody so serene, as trout emerged, their vibrant colors seen. In Jackson Hole, a symphony of wonder, where nature's harmony pulls you under. A tapestry woven with threads of delight, a sanctuary where the soul takes flight. Fly fishing on the Snake River, a serene refrain. The Grand Tetons peaks, nature's eternal reign. Eagles and elk, in this wilderness they dwell, a journey to remember, story to tell. Probably my most serious and sincere poem, and I'm pretty sure this is going to hit you deep in the heart. And if you go to Jackson Hole, you go fly fishing on the Snake River like I did with my two boys, you'll understand. And listen, with that, I'm going to let you know how much I appreciate the audience and the man just getting hundreds of letters, calls from the Poetic Justice fans out there, and I appreciate it. I need you. I need your support to keep coming up with these poems because it's really putting a strain on the old brain here. But as you see, when I take a trip, I can really come up with something, and I'm really proud of this one. And I just thank you for joining with us, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.
Well, I mean, what else can you say about a man like that? You know,
I mean,
a product of Watauga County Schools. Some of the finest product we've ever produced, I think.
You know, his first effort last week, on our last episode, you know, I was kind of stunned and surprised. Now I'm starting to get a little skeptical.
I'm not.
But who knows?
I knew he had it in him.
I know.
I always knew he had it in him. Coach Dye knew it too.
Coach Dye knew it too. You know, as he
encouraged him to go take English Lit during practice.
That's according to Chip, that Coach Dye is the one that has inspired him to be his love of poetry.
As he suggested other means of expressing himself other than the football field. Hey, before we get into the motivational minute with Coach Donny, I do want to make a shameless plug for something, some quality entertainment that
absolutely.
that you do not want to miss. Okay. Right now, at the Millbrook Community Theater at the old Robinson Springs Elementary School, they are doing the production of Willy Wonka, and it runs to the end of July, all the way to July 29th. And we've done, I say we because I'm in the cast, right? Yeah. I don't want to brag, but I'm in the cast of Willy Wonka at the Millbrook Community Theaters.
Well, I think it's because, you know, Hollywood's on strike now. You were available.
It's true. So. I was available. I had some time. But anyway, beautiful program. The stage, the cast, it's just fantastic. And it's a small theater, about 140 people can fit in the theater. And they're selling out shows left and right, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all the way through the end of the month. So get your tickets at millbrooktheater.com. I think that's the website. Just Google Millbrook Community Theater and go get your tickets to Willy Wonka. You won't be disappointed. Great show. And with that, we'll launch into the Motivational Minute with Coach Donny to take us home.
This is Coach Donny Burnett, and here's today's Motivational Minute. The future depends on what you do today. Success is not what you have, but who you are. This is Coach Donny Burnett, and that's today's Motivational Minute.
Got like a book of these things.
Oh, no doubt.
He keeps. I mean, Chip writes poetry. Donny collects motivational quotes.
It's part of our contract. We got to include them in what we do. So we came up with these two segments for.
Yeah. Well, Lyman, thank you for your time. We're in your office on a Saturday, and that's like the last place you want to be on Saturday.
Man, that's it. We're here. We're going to be here regardless.
I think he's alluding to this ain't going to be the first Saturday he's going to be in office, man.
That's it.
Probably not.
Too much work to do.
But we're excited about what's happening here. We're excited about you in that chair as our superintendent, as our leader of our school system, and I couldn't think of a better fit for this role than you being in it. So congratulations once again. Thank you for your time. Thank you for what you're doing, and we're looking forward to what's coming next.
Absolutely, guys. Appreciate your support.
All right. That's episode 23 in the book. Signing off. Until then, good night. God bless, and go Lions.
This is Coach Donny Burnett.